First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Proverbs, the 19th chapter. Better is the poor that walketh in his integrity than he that is perverse in his lips and is a fool. See, so it's better to be poor, right? Not the richest man, but walking in your integrity, maintaining your righteousness before the Lord. The Lord values somebody like that more than one that is perverse in his lips and is a fool. And the reason it often mentions perverse in his lips is once again because the things that you say out of your mouth come forth of your mind, and it shows what manner of man that you are. Verse 2, also, that the soul be without knowledge, it is not good, and he that hasteth with his feet sinneth. So let's read this in the NLT. It says, enthusiasm without knowledge is no good. Haste makes mistakes, right? That's that he that hasteth. It's like you're in a hurry, quick. When you do that, you have a greater chance of missing something or making a mistake. And enthusiasm, as I mentioned, without knowledge is not good either, because you can have the courage and the energy, but if not guided, then it's misled. You can use it for something that is not really edifying, right? It says here, the foolishness of man perverteth his way, and his heart fretteth against the Lord. Let's go into that word fretteth. So by folly, you can start off good, right, on the right track, but through folly you can fall off from that way. Have your path and your reputation tarnished through folly. To fret, to be sad, to be wroth, to be vexed, right, to be perplexed. So it says here, it says, and his heart fretteth against the Lord, right? That is the one that has been given to a way of foolishness, right? People ruin their lives by their own foolishness and then are angry at the Lord. They want to blame the Lord before even looking within, right, and seeing, was this anything, because this have been caused by any fault of mine. Verse 4, wealth maketh many friends, but the poor is separated from his neighbor. Yeah, because people that have money seem to have many friends, right? More people want to be around you because of that wealth. But on the contrary, the poor is separated from his neighbor, right? Even his neighbor, is not wants to be in his company, right? To separate, to divide, to be separated. And that's just the way, unfortunately, how people view each other in the world. Verse 5, a false witness shall not be unpunished, right? The scriptures tell you that. It's in law not to bear false witness. And he that speaketh lies shall not escape. Many will entreat the favor of the prince, and every man is a friend to him that giveth gifts. So, of course, people are going to seek favor of the prince, right? They want to be liked of one in a high position and high authority, as it gives you a better opportunity. And every man is friend to him that giveth gifts. Let's look at that word gifts. Whoops. It says here, mathan, gifts, offering, presents. Because who doesn't want a gift, right? So one that basically one that is wealthy or has the means. Everyone is a friend of him because he gives gifts, right? And if you are on his good side, then you're more inclined to receive of his goods. Verse 7. All the brethren of the poor do hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him? The word hate is more in like to despise or to look down on. So if even his brethren, separate themselves from him and look down on him, how much more for his friends? because you know what they say, blood is thicker than I forgot what the other one is, but it says here the a water. That's what it is. The relatives of the poor despise them. How much more will their friends avoid them? He pursueth them with words, yet they are wanting to him. Right? Though the poor plead with them, their friends are gone. And these are things that King Solomon observed through his pursuit of wisdom, you know, and he gathered these into Proverbs. He that getteth wisdom loveth his own soul. He that keepeth understanding shall find good. Because wisdom brings, you can go on and on and on about the benefits of it. So if you go and seek after wisdom, you love your soul because it's going to be beneficial to you. And he that keepeth understanding shall find good. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaketh lies shall perish. Like we read up above, you know, if you're bearing false witness, the Lord is going to bring judgment upon you because you're transgressing. Verse 10, delight is not seemly for a fool, much less for a servant to have rule over princes. Let's look at that word, delight. Dainty, right? Luxury, exquisite delight, pleasantness. So it's unfitting for a fool to have such dainties, you know, just as it is, or it's much less fitting for servants to have rule over princes. The discretion of a man deferreth his anger, and it is his glory to pass over a transgression. It says sensible people control their temper. That is their discretion. That when you defer something, it's like you in this case you're curbing, right? You're curbing that anger, and they earn respect by overlooking wrongs. This isn't in the sense of to pervert judgment, but more if somebody does you wrong and you sort of overlook it or let it go. The king's wrath is as the roaring of a lion, because when you hear the roaring of a lion, you fear what's about to come next, right? For one, it announces the presence of a lion, which is a dangerous threat. And two, you fear lest what comes after that is a chase for your life. So when the king is angry, it's like a warning signal, because he might take action that can be dangerous or detrimental through his power. But his favor is as dew upon the grass. So the reverse is also true, right? With the king's favor, you know, can bring to great delight. A foolish son is the calamity of his father, and the contentions of a wife are a continual dropping. So a foolish son is the calamity of his father because he's going to bring shame and disgrace upon his household. And the contentions of a wife, having a contentious wife, is stressful. It's annoying. It's like a continual dropping, like a leak that won't go away. It says, house and riches are the inheritance of fathers, and a prudent wife is from the Lord. So you inherit a house, you inherit riches, you know, from your fathers or your parents. But a prudent wife, a wise, you know, virtuous wife is an inheritance from the Lord. Slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger. Slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep, as it says, because when you are slothful, you're going to be lazy, right? You're not going to be active. You're not going to bring about any real profit for yourself. And that's why it says an idle soul shall suffer hunger. Through an idle soul is going to bring forth hunger because you're not going to work, right? NLT, lazy people sleep soundly, but idleness leaves them hungry. NKJV, laziness casts one into a deep sleep, because that it's it's a trait of being slothful. You don't want to do anything. You're all, you know, I'll do it tomorrow, that kind of thing. And eventually that hunger, that poverty will creep up on you when you realize, yo, like, I got to get up and do something on my life because I don't have anything. verse 16. He that keepeth the commandment keepeth his own soul, but he that despiseth his ways shall die. Right? So if you keep the commandment, you keep your own soul, because the commandments were for you to live, in the sense of they're to guide you to live a righteous life. So if you keep them, then you are protecting, okay, yourself, avoiding the judgment of the Lord. But as it says here, he that despiseth his way, the way of the Lord, shall die. Verse 17, he that hath pity upon the poor lendeth unto the Lord. So when you have pity upon the poor, and you actually physically you're giving to them, but it's like you're lending unto the Lord, because the Lord, well, it says, and that which he hath given will he pay him again. Because the poor might not be able to pay you, but you're almost like taking care of the poor on behalf of the Lord, and the Lord is going to pay you back in the stead of that poor. Chasten thy son while there is hope, and let not thy soul spare for his crying. So while there is hope, meaning while he's still young, your correction peradventure can set him back on the right path if he goes wrong. And let not thy soul spare for his crying. Don't because some parents get weak because their child starts crying, and they don't properly discipline them. Children are also pretty smart, and they know that if they cry, you're not going to do anything to them. And what happens? They don't actually learn proper discipline. They're not chastened. Eventually, what's going to happen is they're going to grow and become far worse, and you're going to wish you had chastened them or chastised them. A man of great wrath shall suffer punishment, for if thou deliver him, yet thou must do it again. See? Because his wrath is going to get him in trouble over and over again. And then each time you deliver him, he's going to get right back into trouble again because of his wrathful nature. Hear counsel and receive instruction, that thou mayest be wise in thy latter end. When you receive instruction and you are disciplined and you take heed to counsel, it's going to benefit you in the long run. You're going to come across certain situations and know how to behave yourself and know how to maneuver through it to avoid trouble, because you took heed to that counsel and instruction. There are many devices in a man's heart, many plans, right, many ideas. Nevertheless, the counsel of the Lord, that shall stand. So you may be thinking, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But what the Lord determines is what's going to stand. If the Lord says, nope, you're not going there, guess what? You wake up the next day, something is going to happen, and those plans are not going to succeed. The desire of a man is his kindness, and a poor man is better than a liar. Let's read that in the NLT. It says, loyalty makes a person attractive. It is better to be poor than dishonest. Okay. In the NKJV, I think this is a bit more closer to the KJV. What is desired in a man is kindness, and a poor man is better than a liar. So shit, I mean, people would rather deal with somebody that's poor if they're honest than somebody that's a liar. Because being poor, that might be circumstantial, right? You may just happen to have, ended up in this situation, but you're very wise or you're very keen. Somebody could take you as a servant. They could put you in a trustworthy position, and you can bring them much gain. But somebody that's a liar, you can't, they're going to bring much hurt to you than somebody that's poor. Verse 23, the fear of the Lord tendeth to life. Right? Something that tends to, if they say like this person tends to do this, right? That means they often resort to that. So the fear of the Lord tendeth to life, meaning it brings forth life, right? If you fear the Lord, you are going to be led to life, right? You're going to be preserved. And he that hath it, the fear of the Lord, which what is the fear of the Lord? Wisdom, shall abide satisfied. Because you're not gonna want. David said that, right? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He shall not be visited with evil, because evil is sent of the Lord to those that don't fear him, to those that go astray, to those that are wicked. But those that fear the Lord isn't sent evil upon them, because they're doing the things that are pleasing to him. And that's why it says he shall shall abide satisfied. He that hath it shall abide satisfied. Verse 24, a slothful man hideth his hand in his bosom, and will not so much as bring it to his mouth again. Again, this is saying like a slothful man is so lazy that he puts his hand down, he won't even bring it back up again. Right? It says lazy people take food in their hand, but don't even lift it to their mouth. It's not literal, right? But it's just like it's exacerbated to emphasize how lazy, right, a slothful person can be. Smite a scorner, and the simple will beware, and reprove one that hath understanding, and he will understand knowledge. It says here in the NLT, if you punish a mocker, the simple-minded will learn a lesson. If you correct the wise, they will be all the wiser. Okay? Because they're going to, when you smite the scorner, it's like making an example out of them. And the simple, even the simple will learn, right? And see, oh shit. And when you reprove one that hath understanding, how is he going to understand knowledge? Or how is he going to be the wiser? Because now he's going to keep this in mind. And he's going to always remember this, because he's going to accept the reproof in the right way to where it's beneficial to him. Verse 26, he that wasteth his father and chaseth away his mother is a son that causeth shame and bringeth reproach. Let's look into that word wasteth. To deal violently with, right? To devastate, to ruin. So you bring ruin upon your father and chaseth away. Let's go into that word. To flee, to call, to drive away, to put to flight. And that's like bringing reproach, right? Being such a disgraceful and troublesome son that you bring ruin to your father and drive away your mother. You're a son that causeth shame and bringeth reproach. Cease, my son, to hear the instruction that causeth to err from the words of knowledge. So stop your ears at any instruction that'll lead you astray from the words of knowledge. An ungodly witness scorneth judgment, and the mouth of the wicked devoureth iniquity. It says here, a corrupt witness makes a mockery of justice, because a corrupt witness is, they're trying to play the system of justice, right? They're trying to pervert judgment through lies, as if trying to make a mockery of justice. The mouth of the wicked gulps down evil. And that's pretty self-explanatory, right? You know, if you devour iniquity, you're not actually eating wickedness, but it's like somebody saying that's your bread and butter, right? You do it, okay? That's your go-to. It's nothing for you. Judgments are prepared for scorners, and stripes for the back of fools. So that's why when we read up above about evil not coming to one that feareth the Lord, because the evil is prepared for those that don't fear the Lord, right? Scorners, those that go astray from the right path, froward, those that are froward of heart, just as stripes are for the backs of fools. Because when you go astray, right, you do wickedness and you're punished as a fool. That's what those stripes are for, the punishments. And that brings us to the end of the book of Proverbs, the 19th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.